So that's what we just did. I offer these thoughts on what soldiers look for in their commanders, regardless of branch of service. Honest, just, and fair treatment. Men admire a strict officer if he is also just. An officer who tries to be a good fellow loses his grip early. An officer cannot be expected to know everything. He cannot bluff his men and retain their respect. When he does not know, he should say so and then find and announce the answer. Like, I'm laughing as I'm reading this. You're laughing as I'm reading this. This is like straight out of Leadership Strategy and Tactics. Just it's crazy to sit here and read this.
You ask that question all the time. Like, who's got it all figured out? Who has all the answers? Nobody. So why would you even try to pretend like you do? People are, and then we get that question from leaders. Like, well, they'll lose respect for me. If I act like I've got to pretend like I know it all. And like, no, everyone knows you don't know it all. So they know you don't know. And if you're pretending, they're losing respect for you. If you can actually admit you don't know, and take ownership, then, of a mistake or whatever had happened, then obviously their respect is going up.
I'll tell you another tricky situation that this offers some insight into. And it doesn't offer a definite answer, but I've seen leaders backed into a corner where, Leif screws something up. And whatever the mitigating circumstances were, I say, you know what though, Leif, I got to punish him. Leif didn't finish the project on time. I'm writing him up. I told him I was going to write him up. I'm going to write him up and you come to me and say, hey boss, I get it's my fault. Here's some mistakes that I made. And I go, yep, doesn't matter. I'm writing you up. And I feel like I'm going to lose respect of people if I don't drop the hammer on you. And the fact of the matter is, if you're a reasonable human being and you listen to the mitigating circumstance of a situation and say, you know what, I really hope that this doesn't happen again, Leif. There's no possible way if this happens again, I'm going to let you off the hook. But you came to me with a plan on how you're going to fix these things. Don't ever allow it to happen again. Your respect for me doesn't go down. People don't think, oh, Jocko's weak. They think, we got a boss that's going to take care of our people. Now, look, if you have somebody that's just out of, does something totally off the wall, of course, punishment must be dealt out. But it's not weak to be reasonable. I guess that sums it up. Speaking of punishment, a commander should administer punishment in an impersonal way and to a degree that fits the circumstances and the offense. When a man pays his debt, the commander should forget the incident. Got to keep that thing in mind, though. Like, you might have a repeat offender. I get it, bro. I get you, General Clark, but that one,
Nah, you know what? I think what he's saying there, what I interpret that as is what you talk about in the first chapter of Extreme Ownership. This horrible blue on blue situation that was tragic, that was terrible, and our commanding officers coming to find out what happened, and we think, okay, man, they're probably going to fire someone for this. And there's a lot at stake. And then you talk about by taking ownership, by implementing a plan to make sure that never happened again, the boss actually, his trust increased in you rather than decreased. So, I think when people take ownership and they implement a solution to make sure that you see, hey, they're fixing that problem, you are gaining trust in them, even if something bad happens. So it's not that you're forgetting about it, but you're certainly you're not holding it against someone.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing. It's not the literal term forget, but I'm not going to look at you and go, well, I don't know, Leif, last time you didn't quite do what I needed you to do. No, it's like, hey, you made your mistake. We figured out what the punishment was going to be. You did your time for your crime. We're going to move on, and I'm not going to hold it over your head. That being said, I'm paying attention. Making sure you're not a repeat offender. Courage. Every man experiences fear in a crisis. The commander cannot show it. He must fortify himself by learning to control his emotions. This is crazy to read. Consideration due them. So this is all under the topic. What does the soldier expect from his commander? Consideration due them as mature professional soldiers. Regardless of age or grade, soldiers should be treated as mature individuals. They are men engaged in an honorable profession and deserve to be treated as such. Military courtesies start between officers. Observation of these courtesies between seniors and subordinates is not belittling to either. They are evidences of the alertness, pride, and good manners of your men. The commander's rank should be used to serve his subordinates. It is not a reward and is not a license to exercise idiosyncrasies. Rank has one object: to enable the officer to fulfill his responsibilities. Subordinates expect the commander to play his part according to his position. They do not begrudge him his rank if he uses it in the interest of his subordinates and superiors. So if you're using your rank in the interest of your troops, we're good. If you're using it for yourself, we got an issue. We got a problem.
You know, that part about the professional, these are professionals, treat them like professionals. It reminds me of our experience in Ramadi, working alongside U.S. soldiers and Marines. And something you always said about, like, these guys are true professionals. They are awesome professional warriors that we were privileged and honored to work alongside. And it was interesting how there are some special operators that did not treat them that way because they felt like, oh, they were special and they went through some, specialized training and they were part of a specialized unit and they had better gear, whatever. And how, like, they created all this bad blood just by not treating people professionally. And it was, I just remember, meeting some of those young Marines and soldiers when we first arrived there, and they just, they were looking at us like, oh man, the SEALs are here. And they'd look at our short barreled little rifles and our cool gear. And we had better night vision, all this stuff. And I'm looking back at these young privates thinking, man, these guys have fired more rounds to their weapons than all of us put together in the entire task unit are ever going to fire in our entire careers in the SEAL teams. That's how much combat they were seeing. And it was just, what an honor and privilege to be. They were absolute professionals. And that served us well by treating them accordingly.
Yeah. It's like one of those little golden rules. Why is this so hard? Treat people with respect. Treat people with respect. That's it. Treat people with respect. Personal interest taken in them as individuals. Again, what does a soldier expect from his commander? Personal interest taken in them as individuals. A good officer will know the names, background, and individual characteristics of his men. He must have a genuine personal interest in them, or they will not have it in him. Each individual has problems. There is no easy way of getting a grip on men than by helping them solve their personal problems that give them great concern. An officer should not, however, be too familiar with his men. Good soldiers do not expect it and usually resent it. It is not necessary to call soldiers by their first names, even if the officer sleeps in the same foxhole with them. Close, but not too close, as we like to say. The dichotomy of leadership. Yeah. The expression, and I didn't ever hear anyone say this. And I started saying it a little while ago. I don't know if maybe it's not going to, I don't know. I'm not trying to take credit for something. But you know the term that we'd say in the teams, which was take care of your gear and your gear will take care of you, which means, hey, when you get done with a dive, you take your dive rig and you do the proper maintenance on it. When you get done with a parachute jump, you take your parachute and you do proper maintenance on it. When you get done with a firefight or an operation, you take your weapon and you do the proper maintenance on it. You take care of your gear and your gear will be there to take care of you. Same thing with people. You take care of your people and your people will take care of you.
That's true. As you're saying that, though, I'm thinking about some of those text messages that you've sent Echo Charles.
Yes, sir. Those things are going to become public, I think.
Yeah. Might tell a different story in a little way, but yeah, man.
Why is it so hard for people to respect people?
Just no respect whatsoever. My text messages to Echo Charles, they do have a high level of disrespect. And this also brings to the fact that I believe, I'm not 100% sure, I believe that I have a certain guard passing technique.
Yes.
That is called the disrespect.
Literally, yeah.
That I actually named because of you, because I would use this guard pass and it's so disrespectful that you would you would feel disrespected.
I know.
Did you think of that name?
No, you did. I remember very vividly.
Expand. I like this.
You don't have to. It's just very disrespectful. That's it. Yeah, I think that's a good question. Is it that hard to be respectful? And apparently It is sometimes. So, yeah, man.
There's a fine line between jest and disrespect, and maybe a little more of a gray area.
Yeah, it gets blurry sometimes. Yes, sir.
Find some good screenshots and let's post some Jocko Echo texts.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be fun.
Okay.
Back to the book. There is nothing wrong today with the following instructions written by Baron von Steuben at Valley Forge and published by the Continental Congress. Instructions for the captain. A captain cannot be too careful of the company. A captain cannot be too careful of the company the state has committed to his charge. He must pay the greatest attention to the health of his men, their discipline, arms, accoutrements, ammunition, clothes, and necessaries. His first object should be to gain the love of his men by treating them with every possible kindness and humanity, inquiring into their complaints, and, when well-founded, seeing them redressed. He should know every man of his company by name and character. He should often visit those who are sick, speak tenderly to them, see that the public provision, whether of medicine or diet, is duly administered, and procure them besides such comforts and conveniences as are in his power. The attachment that arises from this kind of attention to the sick and wounded is almost inconceivable. It will, moreover, by the means of preserving the lives of many valuable men. So there you go. What a incredible thing to be able to read. Instructions for a captain from Valley Forge.
That's powerful, man. It's humbling as well too. I think about all of my shortcomings and how much I could have used that guidance directly, prior to being Charlie Platoon Commander, or even now, like just reviewing that and thinking about it, and it captures, I think, like I said, the burden of leadership in a massive way, and all that's required of you, which is a lot. Everything, 100%, all the time.
And if you take care of your men are going to take care of you. And if you have this inconceivable attachment, what that does is preserves lives. So when you are a tight unit, I've often said that, the thing that makes a SEAL platoon strong is just the bonds that you have. Like that's the difference. That's gonna make the difference in any military unit, not just the SEAL. I mean, I can talk about the SEAL platoons because I've been in them, but any military unit. What is it that makes a really strong unit? It's how tight they are. And what makes people tight? You take care of them. That's it. It goes on. Instructions for the lieutenant. He should endeavor to gain the love of his men by his attention to everything which may contribute to their health and convenience. He should often visit them at different hours, inspect their manner of living, see that their provisions are good and well cooked, and as far as possible oblige them to take their meals at regulated hours. He should pay attention to their complaints and, when well-founded, endeavor to get them redressed, but discourage them from complaining on every frivolous occasion. So, for the captain and for the lieutenant, what are you trying to do? You're trying to build relationships with your team. You're trying to take care of your people. And by the way, those are the instructions. Not one. That's it. Next, go.
I was just going to say, I think that's the most profound thing to me. As you think, hey, if Hackworth is saying every officer should be required to read this, you would think it's going to be talking about tactics. You would think how to set up, your base of fire and your assault elements, or how to position your troops, and it's not that at all. It's all about building relationships with your team. What's required of you to actually be a leader. It's how you manage and lead, and that's pretty phenomenal. And you say that all the time. Something that we talk about often, which is the hardest part of combat leadership is always the human aspect, not the tactics. That's the easy part.
Yeah. That's, when I wrote the foreword for About Face,